Hello and welcome. I'm Master Labo Rasaji, and this is our Saturday edition of Rasaji Speaks. Now, don't forget, early bird special for Asheville changes in 10 days. It's a 10-day countdown for today. So, Tuesday at midnight on the 25th, the early bird special. So, if you're already contemplating it, a column exercise says you need to be in Asheville. Asheville's going to be phenomenal with Sister Nan, and a lot of Tennessee and North Carolina people will be there. And we went from the ocean and Melbourne in January, and now we're going to the Smoky Mountains. So I hope that you're excited about doing that. We'll also initiate on that day live streaming also. Well, today's subject matter is meditation through the ages, techniques to quiet the mind. In the Lamasery, and a lot in the city yoga tradition, prayer means to ask, meditation means to listen, and contemplation means to become. Jesus said, ask, seek, and knock. And that was the intensity of prayer. Ask, seek, and knock. Lamaji started doing that consciously right after my surgery in 1968. So I've been consciously praying since 1968. How long have you been praying? Right? Started meditating about 2 years later. And 2 years means to listen. One of the things I began to do was I was fascinated by fire. Didn't know really why initially, but I was fascinated by fire. And I would light a candle and then focus on that candle for a while. Today, I realized it was a very advanced form of meditation called contemplation. And I would find my spirit switching places with the candle. The candle would burn on the inside and on the outside. But the breathing had started to kick in with me. I was in the early stages of Kundalini, and the breathing was starting to unfold in me. And for the first time, I became realized of belly breathing. Also, about the same time that I was doing that, I was into the martial arts. It was amazing. I learned how to breathe not only oxygen, but energy. And I would have tingling sensations going all through my body. So I started listening to my breath, and I started focusing on the feeling of what breathing energy, as the Kundalini awoken within me, was doing. It was pretty daggum profound. I remember how good I began to feel. And I realized that I was taking energy on a level that herbal medicine had not given me before. Herbs up until then had really ignited my health. But as I started to learn to breathe energy, my health got stronger and stronger and stronger. Later, I remember I would go out to the beach or I'd go to a park with my bicycle, and I would get out into nature mid morning, and I would breathe the energy when the sun was coming over the ocean. Years later, I would learn from the Simple Father that that's a city yoga practice that's been going on for thousands, literally thousands of years. When I was in Tibet, and later years back in India in this incarnation, and started to put together all my past lives, my past existence, and also put together the origin of Tai Chi Gong through the city yoga tradition. I started to understand what spiritual practices were, siddhas were. the level of peace that began to come over me, I realized that in the center of the focus of our being is the eye of the storm. I remember years later when hurricanes would come to Florida and storms. Our family had been here since the mid 60s. Where were you in the mid 60s? A lot of you wasn't even on the planet yet. But in the mid 60s, when my family would get real nervous, I would go outside and touch that calm before the storm and also the calm after the storm. And I would start to sense that I could listen to what was going on within the ripples of the atmosphere. It's also about that time I began to see the molecules jumping in and out of the atmosphere. I was only a teenager. I was working on that first black belt at about 14 years old, already looking like I'd never been sick after having major life-threatening surgery just 2 years before. Everything was starting to kick in. Years later, as I became an avid swimmer and dancer, meditation became a daily practice to me. I remember Maha Lamaji Boyang would say, return to the body. It's all contained, little Lama. In the body, it's all too. He said, learn to listen. I said, what kind of listening are you talking about, Lamaji? He said, listen to the blood flow out of the chambers of your heart. And I said, is that advanced meditation? And he laughed. He says, no, little Lama, that's intermediate level of meditation. I went, holy cow, what is advanced meditation? Years later, as I started to move into advance, after experience that intermediate level in my 20s, both on the mountains in Darchin, but also on the sidewalks of New York City from 1 to 3 Friday afternoons. One of the major reasons that we have our training like we did yesterday from 1 to 3 o'clock or 1 to 2:30. You know, think about it. Today, the journey of 10,000 miles begins only with one step. Are you ready to take that one step? It's not into the abyss. It's into the center of who you are. Because my brothers and sisters, if Lamaji's learned anything in 55 years of training, 42 years of being in service to the Lamasery, Tai Chi Gong, my brothers and sisters, is an inside game. As we say in Tibet, Baraka Bashai to you and your glorious family. Go be a blessing today to someone who can't quite be that blessing to themselves. And I'll see you bright and early Monday. Don't be late for another edition of Rasaji Speaks. God bless you very much.